Hey everybody, welcome to Redbird Landscape Design. I'm Anieca Turner. Welcome to my shed. In this video, we're going to go over how to prune, what tools to use, how to prune correctly, how to sharpen them, how to maintain them. Hang on and we'll get right to it. So you may be asking, why do I need to have a sharp tool? Why is pruning important? That kind of thing. Well, when I was in horticulture school, they taught us to look for three main elements when you're pruning a tree, a plant of any kind: dead, dying, or diseased. Deadheading, that's also a form of pruning as well, which is the removal of the plant flower after it's done blooming and it's died off. You take it off, the energy goes back to the plant. So a little bit of sidetrack there, but let's get into the pruning. So I'll start off with one of these guys. Most folks know them as snips, pruners, hand pruners. I guess the correct way to say it, secateurs. S-E-C-T-E-A-U-R, I think, secateurs. So what you want to do with these guys, these are like your standard, everybody's seen them, they're Felco, F-E-L-C-O. I'm not affiliated with them, but just happens to be the one that I have. As you can see, they're dirty, I need to clean them. And it looks like they're going to need to be sharpened a little bit, yeah. You can see I've used the heck out of them. The tip right here has been snapped off. There should be a little point to that because I use them for everything under the sun when I'm out and about. So what I do when I'm pruning is I usually have, if I'm doing a lot of pruning and go around the yard, I have this little pouch, has several little pockets in it. This fits in here perfectly. All my other snips and pruning shears, all the rest of it, a sharpening stone is all right with me in my pocket. So if I've got a couple hours worth of work to do, it's easy, it's on my hip. Boom, I'm done. So why do you want to do a clean cut? It's best for the plant to heal the wound. If you have a huge gaping wound, it takes a lot more energy and work for that plant to go in and heal over or callus over or create a scab on the wound. And the smaller the better, therefore the plant can recover quickly and less opportunity for insect and disease to get in, because that's an open wound. Just like us, if we have a cut or a scrape, you clean it and you put a Band-Aid on it to keep anything out, right? So you don't want, again, you don't want a ragged tear and jagged edge. I'll put a picture up here for you folks to see what I mean by that. So why does it benefit you, the individual, to have a sharp tool in hand? It keeps your endurance going. The less effort and exertion you have to put into creating a cut, and if you have many of them to do, it just makes life easier. So another tip is you want to keep your pruners clean, unlike mine. But these are just from wear and tear. It's got a little bit of rust on it, nothing major. But you want to clean them off and keep them sharp, obviously, and I'll go over that in just a minute, how to sharpen them. A light bleach solution, you spray on it, wipe them off. The ideal thing to do is, if you're doing a lot of pruning, is to, when you're working on one plant, let's say you're doing fruit trees. Okay, this apple tree, I'm pruning this apple tree, and maybe it has a scab problem. So you're going to ideally make a cut. If you've got a cut to do, clean off the pruners or the loppers that you're using, and then go and do another cut. Most people don't do that, so I would suggest do the one tree, then make sure all your tools and your pruners are completely clean, so that you can, believe it or not, you can transfer disease and bacteria on these blades. So keep them clean. It'll be a lot less headaches, because you can easily pass on one problem to another tree, and then you've got a much bigger problem to deal with. Okay, so let's go over what kind of tools that I have that I use in my yard. I used to have another pair that were ergonomic, not these ones. They're called a Baco pruner. I could put a link in the bottom, the box below, B-H-A-C-O. Love them. They're actually built for people with small hands or larger hands, because everybody's grip is different, and I'm a smaller person, so I have a small hand grip. I don't mind the Felco pruners, they do the job, and they're a big favorite across the board, many people in the industry and landscaping industry. So I have a pair of Felcos, your ordinary secateurs. Then I have a more detailed snip or secateur, so you can get into a fine space, like if you're pruning rose bushes that need a little bit of more delicate care and have a smaller branching pattern, and you need to get right in there and you can just clean it up, and again, keep them clean and sharp. As far as pruning saws go, there's many of them out there. You'll find a gazillion of them. So you can get ones like this. and it easily stores in that little pouch I just showed you. So when I'm walking around, I've got this guy in there, and I've got all my other little pruners I just showed you. So I'm like, oh, I need this tool. Boom, it's on my hip. It's done, right? Just makes it easier. So you're not walking back to your shed or your garage or wherever to get your equipment. So this one has a wheel on it. You just turn the wheel, slides out, lock it, and that way when you're doing your sawing, it's not gonna release on you, and you know, you could get hurt or damage the plant or whatever, or the tree that you're doing the cut on. Another pruning saw that I have is one of these. It's got the button on top. You click the button and they fold. A folding pruning saw, another great tool. It goes right into that little pouch again. Easy to use. Pop it out, push your button, click. It's engaged and locked, so you won't get hurt or you won't damage whatever it is that you're working on. Last pruning saw that I have is a larger one. It's got a sheath. This is for a much bigger caliber tree, or a limb that I'm cutting. These small little pruning saws, hand saws like these guys, have a curve and a little bit of bump out so you won't slip off. It helps you stay there when you're pulling back and forth. So these guys are great for a smaller limb. I wouldn't go much more than maybe 3 inches with this one. If you have something bigger caliber, a wider sized of a limb, I use this one. This is a great, again, it's got the a lip here so that when you're pruning, your finger is going to catch there and not slide off, which I've done. It's not fun. So you can have the bow arched, and it helps you cut through, back and forth. And also the teeth are really great, how it's lined up like that. It helps you cut through quickly and easily. And I'll give you some more details on what kind of a saw, straight edge or a bowed edge like this, the teeth differentiation that are in the various ones that are out there on the market right now. And there are a lot, even with these guys. I also have something that's called a pole pruner. And it looks like a long pole, literally, with that kind of a blade on the end of it. And I'll post pictures on here so you can see what it looks like. But long pole, usually mine I have is orange. So it has a blade on it, has a couple little screws on it. You can undo those screws, take the blade off, replace it, clean it, whatever you need to do, tie it back on. And it's a telescopic. It opens up and extends and extends and extends. Then you twist opposite, it locks in, then you can do your pole pruning. Those are used to reach into trees. You don't want to be on a ladder to do that kind of work with a pole pruner. It's really unsafe, can be very unsteady. I wouldn't recommend it. I'd leave that up to an arborist or a tree specialist that knows how to maneuver in those kinds of spaces. Again, with pole pruners, be on the ground, your feet set shoulder width apart, nothing around you, and you're sawing. And I'll show you how to make a good cut so that you don't get a tear and a rip down the trunk of the tree. And lastly, if you've got a bigger job and you need a lot more power and torque behind it, this is a little mini chainsaw. It is electric, and here's your chainsaw end. This has a tool that you can take this off. You add oil to it to keep the chain lubricated, because if you don't, it will seize up and bind up, and then it's toast. So you can make your adjustments because the chain will come a little bit loose. You want it slightly loose, but not too loose. Also, I'll show you the other end. This is telescopic. It will extend. It's got a clip right in here. Undo it, and I showed you it extends, right? And it clicks in, so it won't undo, and you won't end up having an accident and somebody ends up getting hurt. Clicks back in, it's engaged, right? And it's locked. So on the other end, this one's an electric version. Works fantastic. Okay, so next we're going to show you how to sharpen these. This individual pruner has got a flat blunt edge this end, okay? It's called the anvil side, and this is your cutting blade right here. It might be hard to see, but it does have a beveled edge. There might be a line right in here, and this piece is flat and then it bevels. It's got a slight angle to it. That's the blade you want to sharpen. You don't want to sharpen this blade because eventually you're not going to have a clean cut and the blades won't match up like they should. So when you're cutting through, it's a nice clean even cut. So how I go about doing this, there's a couple ways you can do it. An old-fashioned way is with a file. And excuse my language, but it's a bastard file. That's what it's called. You can get them just like this, or you can get a handle on the end of them. And what you do is you put it flat, let me make sure I'm on the right side here, on the bevel edge. Set up yourself with the same angle as the bevel edge, so you keep that cut, so you keep the bevel edge. So you just go one straight out, go all the way across. You don't go back and forth, because when you've gone through, you're sharpening it. When you come back, you're taking that sharpening off, that edge off. So out, out, out. Okay, that's one way. Another one is a sharpening stone that I have. You can do the same thing. It's a little more trickier to find the angle. It's great when you have a lot of great sunlight. But you get in there and you straight across. Don't go back and forth. This way. Okay, everybody has their own way that they like to do it. You have a tabletop vise that helps a lot. You can set this in there and it'll hold the tool for you, and you can get a good sharp edge on it. And it shouldn't take very long to do that. Another thing I have, another sharpening tool, is I keep this in that little pocket that I showed you earlier. I keep this in my pocket and it comes out. This side, the orange side, is a fine side and this is more coarse. And the difference between it is how much metal it's going to take off. Works really great if you're out in the field and you're doing, like you have a big farm and you're out there doing a lot of work. You're not going to walk or drive back in to get something like this. It's right there on your hip. Helps a lot, gets the job done. And one other piece here is this wonderful little tool. Is made in England, and it has a, let me check my notes here, it has a silicone carbide as its cutting surface. Silicone carbide as its cutting surface. It is a patented product. It came with my buckle pruners when I originally bought it. In this case, this came with that. So what you do is you take your pruner, or secateurs, whatever you want to call them, and there's a little screw in here. See that? Take it apart for you. There's a screw in there, and you unloosen it, and then you set it on the blade on the outside edge like that. And as you can see, there's several different holes that you can use. You put the stick end in, and you can adjust what angle you're going to need using this tool based on what bevel edge you have, what your tool needs. So you set it in there, and it's easier if you have a vise, or sitting down is much easier than standing. And you literally just line up your beveled edge. I believe it's the bottom that you're going to want to use. So we'll just kind of show you how that works. So like so, and then it works really, really well. And I'm not going back and forth, just straight out, straight out, straight out. And as you can see, I use it a lot. It's starting to really wear down. Love it, works great, easy tool. And I always keep a flathead screwdriver with it because it just makes it easier to undo that little screw. Fingernail, the side of your secateurs, it doesn't work great. So just have a little flathead screwdriver if you go and get this. It's not expensive. I'll try and find it and put a link in the box for you below if you want to invest in one. And last but not least, especially if you're doing tree pruning, you need a pair of these. Safety glasses. Put these on. I often, when I'm out there doing stuff, I forget I have them on my face. I'll come in the house and I start making dinner and they're like, you have glasses on still. But yeah, definitely use these safety glasses. It'll keep sawdust out of your eyes, wood chips out of your eyes, bugs out of your eyes. I've had many things over the years come flying at me, such as, you're in there pruning away and all the sawdust comes. Try getting sawdust out of your eye. No fun. So be smart, be safe, use safety glasses. Gloves are another great thing, especially if you're using the pulse pruners. Helps you hold on and have a good grip. So one more tool to show you folks. These, most people have them, they're loppers. And as the name implies, you're going to lop off a larger branch than something that the hand pruners can take care of. These are for obviously a much larger circumference of a branch. Same idea as far as sharpening goes. They have the exact same bevel edge here on this side. There's your flat surface. And again, you're just going to go sharpen it straight off one way. Don't go back and forth. It's not, you'll be taking your edge off instead of having it done. I like these because of their distance. I can get a better grip, more torque behind it when I'm cutting a branch. And they have a circular pole to them, or handle to them, with some grips on it at the bottom. They've got like a bubbled edge to them. See, can you really hold on? You won't lose your grip on it. And if you're really giving a hard snap to it, you don't want your hand flying off. Another pair that I have are these ones. Okay, and these have, it might be hard to see, but they're kind of like a flattish oval shaped handle. And I have small hands. I like how I can hang on to them much better than the big rounded handles. These also have grips on the end of them. And once again, same thing. Beveled edge. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's kind of hard. But here's your flat. Oh, there it is. You can see like a slight edge right in here. So this is where you'll slide across this way and do your sharpening this way. So let's start with hand pruners. We'll go into this branch just to show how to go about doing this. I'll bring this in so you can see really closely. So what you're looking for is where the branches come together and where it starts off from the main trunk. You're going to want to take your pruner's flat edge down, get in here, see how close I am, but leaving just a little bit of space so you don't go into the branch collar. You cut nice, clean, straight cut, and there you have a good cut. And hopefully you'll be able to see this. You can see the nice flesh cut right here. It's nice and flat, nice and clean, no ragged edges. There you go, nice and clean. So like I was saying, if you have a much larger caliber cut, like something like this. Now forgive me, I've forgotten what the proper terminology is for the cut I'm going to tell you to do. So you want this branch gone. And you see that you have two branches coming off the main trunk, would come down here. Okay. So you're not going to start cutting right here and cut through one swipe. The chances of underneath here catching and tearing and pulling back all that bark are pretty good. So what you're going to do, you'll start your cut here, and then you're going to come out about an inch out farther here. When you do your first cut, you're going to come down, let me get my finger in there, approximately to here. That way it takes the pressure off when you're doing the second cut here. And you'll come up and the limb will start to fall, but you're not going to get that tear. You're going to take the pressure off, finish that cut, and then what you'll do is you'll go back to the first cut and make a third cut, 3. So one cut part way through, second cut all the way through, third cut down and clean through. And that will give you a nice clean cut without doing any damage through the end of the bark of this tree. Hey everybody, thanks for watching the video. Hope you learned something. Hope you can take some of the tips and tricks and techniques I've shown you and take it out into the field or into your own backyard and use it for your betterment. So make sure you have fun, enjoy your space, and stay safe. Stay hydrated.